Welcome to our final capstone presentation brought to you by Teachme.
Hello everyone, this is our video presentation for our capstone project for CSC 485. We have project 38 for Teachme. Our team is composed of Daniel, Eliana, which is myself, Juan-Lee, Ricardo, and Ru. And our sponsor for this project is Phil Harris. As an introduction, Teachme is an application suite that will allow Chinese children to connect with quality native English speakers in order to learn English as a second language. The reason why Phil wanted to create this product is because he wants to address the problem of the current standard for online teaching. As it is now, parents have to pay a lot of money and sign lengthy contracts in order to find teachers for their children. The solution is Teachme, which will be accessible to wider communities since they can access it from their devices. It will allow parents to pick the teacher that is suitable to their needs instead of being assigned anyone by whatever company they're using. They don't have to sign any contract, so they can drop it at any point if they decide it doesn't suit their needs, and it's much less expensive. And eventually, it's just going to give an equal opportunity to more children to have access to quality services that will allow them to learn English and further their education. One of the requirements I personally worked on, I created an API that allows parents, when they're signing up through the Android app, to provide information about how many children they have. This is only partial information of the children. The Android app sends to the API an age range as well as a gender. The API then will insert this information into a database and return it back and have it displayed on the screen. My teammate Juan-Lee will talk more about the Android implementation of this requirement.
So for an Android app, we use the API developed by the web team. Once the parents sign up for their own account, they'll be asked for their information of their children. And as you can see, the parent only need to set up a range of their age, the gender, and the rest will be handled by the application. And those information will be embedded as JSON and sent to the web controller, which in turn sends to the API for further processing. Once the processing is done, the parent can access their kid's information at any time and make edits as necessary.
So another requirement that we had to prepare was so that the teachers can apply a scheduled template to their calendar. The user story exactly is, as a Teachme teacher, I want to be able to apply my template to give to a given week, and then have that week shown to me with the template applied. So pretty much the teacher can create a template saying like, hey, I want to be available Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And then I can take that template and be like, well, the first week of this month and the last week is going to work for me. So I apply that template to those 2 weeks. And this API design empowers us to do that. So you can see the teacher puts in their input, which will be their teacher ID and what dates they would like. And then they send it and it goes to the front end controller, and then it goes to the API. The API uses the database, 2 databases, and then it displays it back to them and manipulates the data that's necessary. So the overview for our project, there are some deliverables that we need. So we cut it up into 4 different parts. So we're going to need to help Teachme launch a minimal viable product. The way that we're going to do that is to develop the teacher website, develop the parent website, develop the teacher Android application, and develop the parent Android application.
So on the front end of the template schedule, we basically have a grid which is composed of a bunch of cells, and each cell represents a amount of time in which the teacher is available to work. So basically what they would do on their UI side would be to click one of the cells, and basically that indicates what time they would like to be working, and they choose as many as they want. The yellow cells are basically the peak time in Beijing, which shows like when most people would be wanting the services. And then what you do after all the cells you want are selected is you would click the availability template, and this will give you a pop-up which allows you to reapply those same cells to the upcoming week, 2 weeks, or 4 weeks. So you have three options. Now this is a picture of our launch screen basically, and as you can see it's very modern, and this is basically the screen which all users would be seeing upon entering the site before getting to the functionality of it.
Okay, so another feature that we had to develop was a video upload service. And this way the teachers could upload a video to the website and then it can be viewed by parents later. In order to do this, videos are quite large, so we couldn't just save it onto our server. So what we wanted to do is empower the teacher to upload to our storage on AWS directly. But in order to do that, we need to give them a type of permission. And if we put it on the front end, that's a vulnerability. So in order to do that, I personally had to develop a backend that creates a policy that we can hand to the front end and say, okay, you have permission for a little bit of time to upload your video. If you don't do it in that time, you're not allowed to. And that way it blocks people from doing it in the future without getting this pass.
So moving on to the closer look at our Android application products. So here's our Android application flowchart on our Android app system, and which is also logic on our UIs. First, as we can see, the user can view our features after they launch our apps. We have 3 pages of our features, and the user can slide between left and right to see our features. And after they see the features, they can use the login button to do the login process. And in the login process, the first thing is they have to select the country code and enter their phone number to get a verification code through the text message. And then after they get their text message, which include the verification code, they use the country code, phone number, and such a verification code to log in. And during this process, if they failed, they can re-get the verification message. And after a success login, our backend APIs enable us to know if this is a first-time user or not. And moving on, if it is a first-time user, then we will ask this user to add their child information, which is give us a age and the gender of their child. And they have 2 options. After those 2 options, they can go to our main interface, and which is for the old users, they also go to the main user interface. And in the main user interface, the first thing they can view is our teachers list. And they also can filter out what kind of teachers they want. And also in each teacher, they can click on the details to view their teacher's detailed information, such as their education background and work experience. Also, each user can view their user status, such as their information, like their age, gender, and also their child information, which they have already inputted in the first time when they used our app.
For the timeline, after semester starts, we started setting up the development, and the web team finished the post API and delete API on the first phase. And the second phase of development consists of the UI for teacher availability and the child info, as well as the get API for the time in the range. And finally, we have video upload and the last meeting on the last phase of development. So there's also stuff that we haven't done yet. For example, the landing page, which will be delivered next semester, and also the teacher website, which is very close to done. Now I'd like to talk about the development timeline for Android. The first phase consists of the S1 and S2, S stands for shorthand for story. And the first phase consists of the splash screen and the SMS login. We also integrated a dagger in the first phase. The second phase includes the recycler view improvements and the S3, S4, which is child registration and customer profile. The last phase includes some UI enhancements and the S5, which is teacher details. Right now, we are close to finish the parent side of the application. But next semester, we are aiming to deliver the teacher app as well.
Thank you for your time.